Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Oli Davis, and today we're going to be talking about Dean Ambrose's injury and what that could mean to Seth Rollins. We'll be going through a few crap gimmicks, and we will be celebrating Rusev Day! Also a little bit of Christmas. To keep that celebration going, we have here some mugs of wine.
Cheers!
Cheers, my friend. That's right. WrestleRamble is getting a little bit tipsy in the club.
And I really shouldn't be doing this because I've got to go to the theatre later on tonight for my birthday. Which was last week. But I mean, you and I we're gonna record this episode now. God, I sound like I've already been drinking. We're gonna record this episode now. Then we're gonna record our Christmas episode after this. We're gonna just keep on drinking. And yeah, I'll see how I feel when I actually leave the studio. I think I'll be fine.
Don't listen to Luke, he doesn't know what he's talking about. We're coming in on Christmas Day to record the Christmas episode.
Sorry, yes, of course, yeah, kayfabe.
So what's it like having, excuse me, I'm coughing right off the bat, your birthday so close to Christmas?
You found...
First, I didn't have a sip, and we didn't look at each other in the eyes.
Oh, sorry.
So,
cheers.
Cheers. You know the rule behind that, don't
Yes,
you?
I do, yeah, because they do it on Sunday Brunch on Channel 4. They make like a big deal of it that because they do their drinking section, like when they try out new drinks, like new rums and things like that, that they have to chink their glass, but they will look very closely in each other's eyes.
And you're why this could be bad luck.
I don't know why it's bad luck, I just know that, I know that you're meant to do it.
If you don't do it, the myth says, you will have 7 years of bad sex.
Wow.
Yeah. You know who told me that?
Your girlfriend?
My dad.
Yeah?
My dad told me that. He thinks certain things are funny, and they are obviously very funny to him, but it makes me feel very awkward sometimes. I think that's what I'm going to be like as a dad.
Yeah?
Yeah, doing stuff to amuse myself, not really taking into account the next generation of Ollies. Christmas birthday.
So, what's it like? I found that a lot of the times certainly when I was a child, you would get the, this is your joint Christmas and birthday present. Because it's like within a week. Well, it was 11 days before Christmas. So, yeah, you'd be a lot like, you can open it now, but that means you're not going to get as many presents at Christmas, or you can save it and then open it at Christmas. Obviously, I didn't do that. I just opened it because I want to open up something on my birthday. I was a child.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it's been fine. My
you wouldn't know any different though, would you?
No, my wife doesn't.
I'm having a much better time. In March.
Yeah. Well, my brother's is in March 5th. It's actually very close to yours, isn't it?
Well, 29th. Same month.
Mate, same month.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Someone's got a birthday very much around my brother's. I think it's actually my mother-in-law. But my wife is not keen on me having a birthday in December because she has to try and think of something great to get me for my birthday and something great to get me for Christmas. And, within 11 days of each other.
Was that almost a deal breaker? Was it called off at the wedding? If anyone knows of any reason why these two shouldn't get married...
Yeah, she just stands there and goes like, actually, his birthday is rubbish.
It's just not
not only that,
for me.
But her sister, my sister-in-law, her birthday is on December 31st.
Oh, so that's New Year's Eve.
Yeah, so she's got like 2 big birthdays in the same month and Christmas.
It's expensive.
Always expensive.
Always expensive around Christmas time. There's the presents to get everyone. There's the obscene amount of drinks that you go to because this is the time, because it's so cold and dark, you have to get around that by spending time with loved ones.
Yeah, well, I've seen so much of my other friends this month because we've all been getting together and going out for drinks, and it's been quite lovely. Because as mentioned on the last episode, I can't remember if we recorded so much yesterday in terms of podcast intros and outros and wrestle rambles. I can't remember if I mentioned this on the actual show or in a podcast for one of the shows. But I love Christmas. I proper love Christmas,
really?
Mate. Yeah, I mean...
This is Luke's Christmas jumper. Because I go through spates of just throwing a lot of my possessions away. And I must have done that with Christmas jumpers. Because I thought, these are useless for 11 months of the year. Gone with you! To the charity shop. So yeah, this is Luke's jumper.
It's one of my Christmas jumpers.
Yeah,
but
I furry tit.
But I do love me some Christmas. So I like getting together with people, wearing Christmas jumpers, actually my wife hates tinsel, so I don't get to put up tinsel in the house.
I'm not allowed tinsel either.
Really? Why?
Yeah, well, because apparently it's trashy, according to my lady partner. Whereas my Christmas tree, back in the day as a kid, It was super trashy. I knew nothing else, but now we've got to have a really minimalistic Scandinavian tree.
Yeah, I
with
saw
just
your little Scandinavian tree.
A few lights here.
Ours is wrapped around. We've got really nice twinkly lights on ours, and whenever we go on a holiday or something like that, we always buy like a Christmas decoration if we can do to put around the tree. Usually, because we usually go away in December. So we've got ones from like New York, and we've got one from when we went to Reykjavik on our honeymoon. And then my parents have started a tradition now of always buying us Christmas tree decorations. So we've now got one that says like our first Christmas as Mr. and Mrs., which is very cute. It's adorable.
But you're going to get rid of that then? This
yeah,
year.
Pretty much. I don't need it now because that'll be our
first.
It'll be our second Christmas next year. Yeah,
outdated. Why would they date something like that?
I don't know.
We should probably talk about some wrestling. 5 minutes in, what?
Actually, nearly 6 minutes.
Oh my
in.
word! This is what the wine's going to do. Should we just
imagine what we're going to be like on the Christmas episode?
So we were going to go for mulled wine.
Yeah,
but and out of glasses. But we couldn't find glasses, and we thought, the mulled wine will need to be hot, so let's use white wine. So that isn't the most festive of drinks, but let me tell you,
wine's pretty festive, and like I've got it down here, so we don't have to go very far.
It's an Italian Pinot Grigio, if you're wondering.
God, there is a lot in these cups, isn't there?
Yes. So so 2 cups. Like you think, it's just a mug. Over half a bottle. In
all fairness, I did nearly shout out to you, don't fill it to the top because there will be a lot of wine in those cups.
Well, we've got. Oh God, there's a fly in it.
I was too busy working.
We've got 2 bottles to see us through these 2 episodes. It's like one giant WrestleRamble this afternoon for us. So let's kick things off, wrestling-wise.
Because you have got some thoughts on the final angle from Monday night. You got very heated about this on Wednesday. I mean, I got heated. Naughty Luke came out. But you got very heated and very passionate about it. You did a very funny skit in your Raw review about it. But you said to me, when I got into the studio today, oh no, you got because I was here first, I've had more thoughts about the Stephanie McMahon angle.
I don't know if it's more thoughts. It's like more layers of observation, which I guess is more thought.
I was going to say, that's a Pontier way of saying you've had more thoughts.
Well, a nice way I think of it, it's like, those particularly stinky farts. Mm-hmm. And they first of all, like it's, oh God, that's bad. Whoa! Oh my God, what did you have for dinner last night? And then you think it's gone, and it almost morphs into a completely different smell. Mm-hmm. That's the good way to explain the fallout for me for the Women's Royal Rumble announcement.
My old bass player had farts like that.
Let me just point out that it is a welcome announcement, long overdue. Have nothing wrong with the Women's Royal Rumble. It's the way in which the announcement was made.
Particularly because there's now rumours, reports that it might actually be a 30-woman Rumble.
Yeah,
which would be excellent.
Yeah,
that would be my preferred method.
I don't know if you want it to be. I don't know. That's another thing. So me and Luke have been watching Armageddon 2000.
Yeah, 2000
this week because we're doing the WrestleRamble extra on it. If you want to listen to that over the Christmas period, pledge $5 on Patreon. That's how you get access to that. But the whole show, excuse me, is designed around the main event of a 6-man Hell in a Cell match for the WWE title. WWF title. Insane. And Vince McMahon's whole story running into this is it's dangerous. There's millions of dollars worth of talent in this match. He doesn't want them all to get injured because it's such a dangerous structure. So the story is that he's trying to get it cancelled. Back in those days when the fans were a lot more overtly bloodthirsty, everyone said, the fans are cheering for it. We want to see this match because it's going to be awesome. Mick Foley's like, we've got to do this match. It's the only way to end all these various feuds because it's gotten so out of control and heated. And Vince McMahon's there saying, no, I'm the spoil sport. You're not having your match. So when we do get the match, it's a big pop. And when Vince McMahon tries to stop the match, in the match, Mick Foley takes him out to a big pop. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking, why wasn't this the story here? Why isn't Stephanie McMahon? She is a heel everywhere else. She runs Raw as the dominant authority heel figure. Kurt Angle's your babyface person. That's where they try and create tension. In all of her other appearances, she's been a heel. She comes back. She threatens Kurt's job. She's constantly belittling babyfaces and feuding with them. But here she walks out and she's just such a natural heel. When she talks, it seems heelish, but she's delivering a babyface message. And the reason is quite transparent, why she made it rather than someone else. It's so WWE it's a PR exercise in that you can run this clip and those pictures to Newsweek and Business Insider and look, the women's revolution is happening over at WWE, and it's all because not of the wrestlers, but of this person, Stephanie McMahon, who's going to be the one to lead the company in the future. Isn't that reassuring? Investors, please invest in WWE. Bigger thing going on there. But from a storytelling perspective, why not continue, have some consistency? Consistency,
yep.
Wine, of her as a heel authority figure. And the women, like, I don't know, some Lita comes back, just picked a name out of a hat, and she says, you know what, you women, should have a Royal Rumble. And all the women are like, yeah, we should have a Royal Rumble.
So just to add into your story, have one of the women demand a Royal Rumble. Say, like, pitch it to Kurt Angle being like, the Royal Rumble's coming up in January. Why don't we have the first ever women's Royal Rumble? And Kurt Angle's like, well, I don't know if we can, I'll talk to people and see if I can make it happen.
Yeah.
And then you continue the story.
Or, there's so many layers. Maybe even Alexa Bliss is titles on the line. Alexa Bliss is like, no, I don't want this to happen. We shouldn't have a Royal Rumble. That's where Stephanie McMahon comes in. And she's, playing the old Mr. McMahon character just with an XX chromosome.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, you can't have this match. You don't deserve it. Yada, yada, yada. I'm a bad guy. So when when Kurt Angle or someone, probably a woman should be, finally overrules Stephanie, like, actually, I've talked to the people behind your back, and they are getting a women's Royal Rumble match. Huge celebration in the ring from the babyface female wrestlers. The Alexa Blisses and heels are like, oh no, we've got to do a Royal Rumble. We didn't want to do this. Huge pop from the crowd. That's how I would have done it.
I think there are certain things you could work around within your framework, but that is a much better way of doing it as opposed to... Because, like, I think we might have said it yesterday, or someone very much said it in the comments, which was that if you'd announced a man's match like that, you wouldn't have just had them standing in a line, having them all chanting and hugging each other and, like, high-fiving each other and stuff like that, because it does feel like you are... As you said, it's very patronising. And it's not good. The further I get away from that announcement, the more I hate it.
Yeah,
and the more,
it's the fart.
Yeah, it's the fart. You're right, and I really, really don't like it. But having said that, the announcement itself is very, very good, and I'm very excited for January. I haven't been this excited for a Royal Rumble in quite some time.
It's the other problem is that you only get so many. You only get one first.
Look at the Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank, when that was won by a guy. Like, I can see the theory behind it and trying to get some heel heat on Ellsworth, but or Carmella. But really, for the first one, you should have just played it straight. Same here. There's only going to be one announcement of the first ever women's Royal Rumble match. Why not turn it into a big storyline where we can all kind of see it coming? But, we all know how a Marvel movie is going to end. Roughly, the good guys are going to win. And the bad guy's going to be an underdeveloped, one-dimensional character. But we still watch it and we still enjoy it. That's how we should have done it.
Yeah.
Anywho. Great balls of botch. We've got one little bit here because Kelly, I think, how would you say that?
Keeley.
Keeley. K-E-L-L-E-I-G-H.
Kelly. Kelly. Yeah, maybe it's Kelly.
A weirdly spelt Kelly. Looks Gaelic. But Kelly Lawrence got on touch and said, Ollie Davis, that SWAF Nation sign was actually my fiancé, Justin Barrett.
Whoa.
You may find him in your YouTube comments. Not that Courtney guy. Happy he can get some more recognition out there.
Well, I hope so. Absolutely, yeah.
So at Clash of Champions, there was a SWAF Nation sign that many people picked up upon. It was picked up upon on Reddit and on
the Figure
4 newsletter because they've spelt SWAF soft wrong. Incorrect.
Every time you see that, every time there is a sign at a wrestling show that says SWAF Nation or hashtag SWAF Nation, if you do the hashtag SWAF Nation, there will be at least 4 or 5 people that will have spotted it going like, huh?
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Well, even Matthew of Botchamania, way back in the day, he was like, Enzo spells it out for you.
Yeah.
And everyone was
That's
like...
why it's so perfect.
Yeah.
It's why it's so good.
And loads of people pointed out in the comments, no, actually, that's a WrestleTalk thing. So, yes! Trolling everyone! I mean, we're going to take you for your word, Kelly Lawrence.
Just as we took Courtney for his word.
Who got in touch on Twitter, said it was him. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin Barrett, for your sign. But also, maybe. Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah.
We don't know. We can't prove this.
Well, that's it, yeah. If you do take a SWAF Nation sign, take a photo of yourself with the sign and send that as proof rather than just... Because sometimes we get a lot of people that just say, yeah, it was me, yeah, it was me, yeah, it was me. And then it's like, I'm Spartacus, you know, then we don't know actually who did it. So that might be the best way to do it.
So we've got some crap gimmicks for this Saturday episode of WrestleRamble, just 2 days out from Christmas Day. Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. My friend's birthday. My friend Matt Cook, it's his birthday on Christmas Eve. Usual standard fare was to go out on Christmas Eve out into Reading Town Centre, which is my hometown, and we would go out on the rocks for a little bit and go drinking. And then because the idea would be you'd have a very heavy night on the 23rd, so you can recover on the 24th, and then you're all good for Christmas.
Yeah, my family just do it. All the nights are heavy.
Yeah, I mean, since then, those times have changed. Actually, we don't tend to go out anymore because we're all old now, and we don't really like going out into Reading Town Centre now because it's full of young people.
Well, that's what happened to us. We always used to go out in our local town on Christmas Eve. This long-running tradition. And it was back when we used to do it, up until about 4 years ago, it was fine. You just walk into a pub and there's tables and you can sit down and get incredibly sozzled over like a 6-7 hour period. But then something changed 4 years ago where everyone does this. And you have to pay to get into pubs. You can't get tables. So you have to be standing up and there's like 8 of us, so it's awkward. So now we go out on Christmas Eve for Cruel Mania.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there needs to be at least 3 different venues in Cruel Mania. This is Cruel Mania 3 this year. Yeah. And yeah, we're going to Clapham, going to be hitting up Infernos.
Very
Maybe
nice.
see you there later tonight. Flying here. So, crap gimmick roster, we've got an entry from the mayor of Painesville.
Dan!
He says, the chicken hunter, Dwayne J. Fox. He is a guy who dresses up as a fox, including a foxy hood. I guess he means like a Red Riding Hood?
I thought he meant like a hood that's got a fox on it.
Okay. Oh, like a onesie that completes the head. And tells the audience that chicken are his prey, and he always finds a way to take down his opponents because everyone that stands between him and the chicken will be bitten. He is caught chasing his own tail and does not like references of other foxes because a fox walks alone.
Like the lone wolf.
Yeah, or like... So no Alicia Fox. For example, he dislikes Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog very much and says a fox doesn't even look that way. I'm a real fox. Matt, considering your...
There was a comment left on a video yesterday that made me laugh so much, which I think it was either on the WrestleRamble or it was on my news episode when I was wearing this jumper. There was like, oh God, Luke is so lame, he likes Sonic. No one likes Sonic anymore. Sonic hasn't been relevant since the Dreamcast. And it just made me laugh so much. Because I'm like, oh, so I'm not allowed to like that character anymore then because he hasn't been relevant. Although, I'd like to point out 2017 has been a bit of a renaissance year for the Sonic the Hedgehog character because Sonic Mania was really great.
Anyone who makes those sorts of comments on a professional wrestling video,
I
think it's, the sort of pot kettle black, person in glass house, just don't throw stones. Those sort of analogies apply. Where were we? Sometimes he is seen around the women's locker room because chicks and chicken go well together, as he says. This will cause a lot of trouble sometimes. He often hides under the ring, referring to this as his den. The Beastmaster is able to control the chicken hunter. Entrance music will be is Evil, isn't it? What does the fox say?
Yeah, I never heard that song.
Oh, it's a corker.
But I know of it.
Signature move is the bull fox. So you scratch the back of your opponent and follow it up with a bulldog when the opponent goes to his knees because of the pain. Finishing move is the Vulpix, stomping the opponent on the ground for 5 times on different body parts, only to perform a charged standing 450 splash in the middle of the ring. What?
Yeah.
So that's like Randy Orton's
his Garvin stomp, and
then you just do a 450
Then you do
splash.
the Rich Swan splash, yeah.
But how's that like a fox?
I don't know, mate. It's not. I always think like
the other
foxes
one was like a fox.
Yeah, I think it'd be like you want something to be quite sly, like a fox, sly like a reddish fox.
So what would you...
I'm not feeling the Chicken Hunter. I feel like it's a little all over the place. I'm not sure there's no consistency.
Thing up a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit poppy as well. Thanks, love. I thought there's no real consistency for the character, I'm afraid, Dan. Although I did enjoy the reference to Sonic the Hedgehog at the very least. I kind of like the idea, but I don't know. There's no real through line for me.
It's not a strong enough crap thing to base it round. Yeah, I think it's a bit loose. So I think we're going to pass on that.
Sorry, Dan.
I like the Beastmaster inclusion, but I would want him to feud with the Beastmaster.
Because he can't be controlled by the Beastmaster.
Yeah, or what? But the Beastmaster to me is a super babyface.
Yeah, and this guy's clearly a heel.
Yeah, because he's a fox. And the Beastmaster almost wants to protect the animals. The fox is trying to go after the chickens. So
yeah, okay, that's good, yeah.
Of course, the chickens are essentially a beast. They're dinosaurs.
They certainly are.
Yeah, they go back to Velociraptors. And Cameron Hall has got in touch via Twitter with a crap gimmick tag team.
It might be no, it's not our first tag team. So we had the Glorious Fam.
Yeah, the Blackpool Cowboys. a pantomime cow.
For those American viewers, Blackpool is like I was about to say a crap place in Britain, but that seems unfair because I bloody love Blackpool. Blackpool Pleasure Beach is excellent. It's a wonderful theme park full of lots of rickety old rides. I went on my first roller coaster ever at Blackpool Pleasure Beach on the Pepsi Max big one.
And who comes from Blackpool?
William Regal. So it's an area in the north, a seaside resort. Britain's Las Vegas, as we like to call it.
In the north.
Yes,
so
in the north.
It's like a gloomy version.
Oh, come on now.
The weather.
Well, the weather.
Is
the weather
very
is the
gloomy.
same across the country. We are a very small country. The weather is the same. It doesn't get gloomier when you go up north.
It gets significantly gloomier past Milton Keynes.
You sound just like the Daily Mail.
So the Blackpool Cowboys, a pantomime cow. Oh, so that's it. A pantomime cow. Apart, they are awful. Oh, apart, they are awful. Together, they are still awful.
Like that.
One member plays the front part of the cow, and he only attacks the top half of his opponent, and vice versa. So there's something in here.
I like this. A pantomime cow. I like it. It's original. It's new. It's fresh. It's seasonal. I like it.
I just don't think it needs more. It needs more development.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, will Americans know what pantomime is?
Oh, an excellent question. I don't know if it is something that travels across the states.
I think it's quite uniquely
very much a British thing, I think.
So it's sort of like old fairy tales, like Cinderella and Jack the Beanstalk, portrayed in the campest, most bright fashion possible, usually for kids, but the idea is that you have enough sexual innuendo there, which is a tradition of British humour, to appeal to the adults as well and make them laugh.
I nearly starred in a panto. A local production company was doing one of Cinderella, and I was going to play Buttons.
Were you? It's
a key role.
Key role. That's the romantic interest.
Well, not really. Buttons
Sometimes.
Sometimes. It depends on who's written that version of Cinderella. Because that's the other thing is you can take they're in very different directions. There's one. Someone on a podcast that was talking about they were in panto. Oh no, it was on TV. It's Al Murray was talking about. He's in a panto at the moment. He's doing Jack and the Beanstalk, but it's set many years after the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, and Jack just keeps going up and defeating the giants. So now the giant's like, oh, stop beating me up. Stop coming up here and wrecking things. So he's actually the baby face, and Jack is the heel.
Wreck-It Ralph.
That's a bit like Wreck-It Ralph, I suppose.
Wreck-It Ralph. When you said it was in the future after the battle, I was like a post-apocalyptic future. Where all the giants have been felled and Jack's this overlord.
Yeah,
That'd
Jack
be
the Giant Slayer. So I was going to, but unfortunately I had too many other projects on at the time and I couldn't commit. So I was offered the part, but I couldn't commit to it. So I had to pass.
So after pantomime chat and what we do at Christmas Eve and all the other nonsense, there's some actual wrestling news.
Yeah, well, you're running a bit dry there.
Are we gonna? How are you doing? I don't want to storm ahead.
It's fine. I'm not going to be. I'll top up mine ever so slightly, but
I hope you can get the Foley of that, listeners. Of the glass being poured.
I should have held it closer to my microphone.
So Dean Ambrose.
That is nice.
Do you think?
Yeah, you're not a fan?
Anything that's 2 for £9 at Tesco's maybe has discoloured my view of it. I've been quite spoiled with wine recently.
I was going to say, I never knew you to be so pretentious about wine.
No, well, after Paris, me and my lady partner have gotten into wine. We've got her. Did I not tell you about this?
How is it that I'm the one that no one likes on this channel?
Because aspiration. They want to be like the guy with the wine. So no, we've signed up to a monthly.
Have you really?
A monthly wine.
Monthly wine. Which one? Naked.
And then it's called Le Petit Ballon.
Oh, it's a proper French.
Yeah, with a sommelier deciding the
wow.
wine. You get 2 bottles a month.
And how much is that?
It's it's expensive.
I was going to say it sounds expensive because Naked Wines having a subscription to their facilities, that's quite pricey. But you do get to go to their very fancy events. I've been to one of those and had a bloody lovely red wine by a winemaker called Jen Pfeiffer. So much so I've ordered several bottles from her. I bloody love her work and champagne from her.
Yeah, champagne's great. But all that aside. We have cheese. That's our thing we do. We sacrifice one night out a month. We say we won't go out one night, and we replace it with an innie night. If anything, the wine's cheaper than an outie restaurant date. So anyway, Dean Ambrose has been injured.
Oh yeah, when did this happen?
So, Dave Meltzer was talking like it happened at TLC.
Whoa!
There was a spot where Sheamus drops Ambrose on a table, and you can see Ambrose favouring his arm after that. And apparently that's around the time he starts to wear the quite large elbow brace. And he works for 2 months. You've got to understand, a lot of people have trouble with Ambrose, and I empathise with them because he's sometimes it feels like he's on autopilot, which is weird because he works so hard. And his character can get to the more goofy ends of its interpretation, whereas I much prefer the sort of Shield one when he's a bit more crazy dangerous like Brian Pillman rather than crazy goofy Dean Mickey Mouse Batman at Disneyland. But with all that, he does work a hell of a lot. Like, he is the Iron Man. It was 1 year he wrestled more dates than anyone else. I think I can't remember the exact figures, but in his WWE career as of last year, these are old stats, Dean Ambrose had wrestled about 950 matches.
Oof, man.
Seth Rollins, in comparison, granted he was out with injury for a few times, was about 300.
Man.
And there are only 365 dates a year.
Yeah.
So Dean Ambrose is working one of the most demanding schedules. He was WWE champion for a number of those. Really took it. There are stories of him wrestling 10 times in a week, just by time difference. I mean, that's what Hulk Hogan claimed, right?
Yeah.
Wrestled 400 times in a year because of the time difference, flying back and forth. But with all those problems with Ambrose, you've got to respect him for this Iron Man mentality of just going out and working. And he's been working with a torn tendon. So
in his quam.
In his quam, that was the kayfabe injury. The real injury is the tendon connecting your muscle to your elbow. And that goes, and I mean, my dad tore his ligament once, and he was out for a year and a half, really in pain all the time. And Dean Ambrose, I mean, I don't know how much more painful tendons are.
I'm not Scooby-Doo. I mean, I'm very fortunate, touch wood, that despite the craziness that I spoke of in the last episode, I've never broken a bone in my body or done any serious damage to myself.
Really?
Never broken a bone in my body.
You want that to change? But Dean Ambrose worked through that. And it's not like just working through it coming into work where you do an office job. He worked through that as a professional wrestler with the travel schedule and the demanding 10, 15, 20-minute matches he does every night. Insane. And, this apparently over the last week, he was like, actually, this hurts quite a bit.
Yeah.
They look at it. Oh, wow. We need to get you... Oh... Luke just knocked the microphone with his cup. We need to get you over to Birmingham, Alabama, where our sort of top surgeons are, to have a look at this as soon as possible. They write him off of Raw. Apparently, they rewrote Raw to make this happen a few days before the show. And yeah, he goes, he has surgery the day of, and he looks to be out for at least 4 months.
Yeah, they said 4 to 6 months, I believe, is the recovery time. The Wrestling Observer reported 6. So that puts him out till July next year. So he's going to miss Mania season. And as we kind of alluded to on the last episode, that it almost feels like they were building towards, a breakup of the Shield, at least in the tag team form, and they were going to have a Seth Rollins Dean Ambrose match at WrestleMania, or it was probably going to be the Shield versus the Bar
again. Yeah. So did you see the jokes? This is a joke going around online at the moment. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins walk into a bar. Then they do the same the next week, and the week after that.
Nice, like it. So what does this mean for poor old Seth and WrestleMania? Not had a good track record with WrestleMania as Seth for the last 3 years. Got injured, missing one. And that was, when he was WWE champion, so they had big plans for him going into that. Then he got injured just before WrestleMania last year against got injured by Samoa Joe. This year, you're absolutely right. And nearly missed that Mania when he was having his big match against Triple H. And now here we are, third year in a row. He's got the WrestleMania curse as old Seth. Don't get involved in a program with him. It either goes to pot or you get injured.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because this year's WrestleMania went right down to the wire.
Yeah,
it's amazing he got back in time, I think. But yeah, it is a shame. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were booked in the house show circuit against the Bar in steel cage matches for January. So that was sort of their plan. I'd imagine they'd have get another title match at Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. Silver linings to a horrible injury. At least WWE will be forced to move forward from this. But how do they do that? Because, like you said, it looked like, maybe you have the final Bar Shield match at Rumble, and then you start building to what might be a Dean Ambrose heel turn on Rollins to lead to a WrestleMania match. But you can't do that now, it seems. So Jason Jordan has already been added as Seth Rollins' tag partner in those house show live event dates. I think there's something in this.
Oh, no. Do you really?
Hear me out.
I'll hear you out.
So,
like the Woken Hardy thing, the people don't think I am giving a chance.
Dean Ambrose is taken out. And we saw that he was running out of Raw. It's not like a sudden injury. It was a nagging injury that they had a chance to write Dean out of continuity. So you've got that. It's not like you have to suddenly explain something away. We know that Dean has been injured by the Bar and by Samoa Joe. Jordan's involved in this loop, in this feud. So Jordan is like, he plays up to Seth Rollins. This is outrageous. I feel so bad for Dean. I want to get my revenge on them for you. Typical Jordan, just social justice, or like virtue signaling. He doesn't really mean what he's saying. He's just saying it to impress other people. But really, he's just doing it for the advancement of his own career. So Seth Rollins is either eventually worn down, or Daddy Kurt is like, come on, can you do me a favour? Tag with my son. And then Jordan and Seth Rollins get the match at Rumble against the Bar. Maybe they even win. Or the Bar beat them because Jordan
my worry with that is that if they win, that means the feud must continue, and you have to have the automatic rematch clause, which means you then have another month of that feud.
Well, they are fast and loose with who gets an automatic rematch. Anyway, after Royal Rumble, then you start to tell. You've got quite a few stories you could tell with Jordan and with Rollins. You could either go the route of Jordan slowly turning on Rollins and Kurt sort of siding with his son rather than Rollins. Maybe it turns into a Kurt versus Jordan match. Maybe it turns into a Kurt versus Seth match with Jason Jordan at ringside. Maybe Kurt's a special guest referee for Rollins versus Jordan, and he has to call it down the line, and that's when he finally turns on Jordan at WrestleMania. Maybe there's a Triple H is revealed as the big bad behind Jason Jordan. There was no DNA test. And then you get a Triple H and Jason Jordan versus Kurt Angle and Seth Rollins. There's a lot of history there. Tag match at WrestleMania.
That, of all the things you've given, I think that's the one I like the most. Because it was funny when we kind of discussed this about doing this as a possible topic for this episode of the WrestleRamble. I was thinking what would I do as Seth's replacement match? Because he's not going into the Universal title picture. That's there for Roman. And I'm going to make the gamble that Roman's going into WrestleMania as IC champ.
Really?
I think they're going to do champ v champ. I think they're going to emulate Hogan Warrior. I think Roman's going to, and then the following night he'll just relinquish the IC belt, and they'll hold a tournament to crown a new champion.
It's like Vince wants to annoy a certain part of the fan base.
Well,
I'm not necessarily as annoyed by that as I probably would have used to have been. But there are a lot of people out there who would be infuriated by that.
Because there won't be an IC championship match at WrestleMania then.
And it's all on Roman. Roman would have 2 belts.
Yeah. Cool. He's the big dog. Got to keep those trousers up. And
But he holds it over his shoulder. Doesn't even use it as a belt.
He doesn't even do it properly.
Yeah.
Use it as a back piece. So who else is there? It's not going to be Finn, and I'd rather not see. I mean, Finn would be probably my best option.
Heel Finn with the Balor Club.
Maybe, yeah. Because I don't really want to see him do Joe again. So yeah, there's not like a lot of other big people that you can do, especially if it's going to be Triple H and Braun, and it's going to be Angle and Jordan. Like, you've already lost your big guys there. Then it just ends up being with like Seth versus Elias.
Yeah, it's
or Seth v Miz.
It's amazing how, the Shield were meant to be they are the future of the company.
Oh, sorry, it's Seth v Kane, of course.
God, he'll be back. Surely there's a political race he needs to get back to.
Kane injured him. Kane's the one who injured him all those years ago. He's now going to finally extract his revenge.
That is I forgot about that. That is a good point. It's just insane that a few years ago, when the Shield broke up, and when the Shield debuted, you're like, these are the future of the company, and we loved all of them. And you would have thought the odds, you've got 3 people there, they're super over. Surely one of them would strike a match with the majority of the fan base. But the fact of the matter is, Roman Reigns has been pushed down people's throats and hasn't got over the way they want him to. Seth Rollins has been considerably called off by injuries and bad booking as a heel when he came back after those injuries.
Should have been a babyface.
And Dean Ambrose has just been flattened out by occasionally not getting behind him. Again, bad booking. So you've got these 3 guys, and they're all now at like solid main event level, but never superstar level.
Yeah. Dean Ambrose, unfortunately, has been Dolph Ziggler, which is, people often ask me, like, what is my issue I have with Dolph? And it's just that I think that WWE have conditioned me not to like Dolph because they've spent the last 10 years with a stop-start push. So I don't feel like there's any point in me investing in any like momentum that he might get because I know I've been conditioned not to think like, well, it's not going to go anywhere. He's been treading water for the last 10 years. So why should I now think this is going to be the big push for Dolph? It's the same with Dean.
Well, let us know what you think should happen for Seth Rollins' WrestleMania direction in the comments down below. So we've got some Patreon shout-outs to do to finish off the month of December, to finish off 2017. If you want to get a shout-out in the WrestleRamble, go over to WrestleTalk's Patreon page and pledge $10. For $5... Oh, excuse me, the wine's getting to me now. If you pledge $5, you get access to the WrestleRamble Extra podcast. WrestleRambles go up a day early on the Saturday, so you get it on the Friday. And plenty more. And if you go one up more, 10, you get a shout out here. $25, you get a shout out in the WrestleTalk news. Loads of people watch that show. But anyway, for now, Fancy Felix Voigt,
The Flint Man, Ben Sawyer,
JS Wooton,
Krishna the Deadshot,
Noah Edward Enigma. Oh,
try that
a
again.
Bad one. No, that's
okay.
Everyone gets one. Everyone gets one.
Joshua School of Hard Knocks,
Robert Allen. Now shut up.
They call him Jay Witt, or the man they call Jay Witt.
Furious Shane Fariner.
The Jackal Chris Jenkins. Oops, steady.
I didn't feel it until we changed positions, and now I'm a little bit. Where were we?
Sean,
Chris Jenkins.
No, yeah, Sean.
Sean far from Blandford.
Rob Pontin Problems Pontin.
I'm really struggling finding where we are. Thunderbird Logan Frakes.
Noah Play the Trombley.
Did I tell you where Thunderbird Logan Frakes came from?
Yeah, it's from Thingy Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, him of Star Trek fame.
Who directed the live-action Thunderbirds movie. I like that movie. Paul, did you do Noah?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Paul One-of-Us Ebner.
The North remembers CJ Stark.
Should be, You Screwed Brett, Paul Ebner.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a much better one. We'll change that.
Stunning Eric Sutton.
Alec weighs a fen ton.
Nice. Jerry B. Good Smith.
Lionheart Drake Crimson.
Rhyming Ryan Tobin.
Scarface Val Capone.
I'm worried I'm going to hit your fingers if I don't look. Shit.
Tiny Todd.
Tiny Todd White Cotton.
Tremendous Tyler Hayes.
Brian not getting lost in a Fogarty. Jeez, that's a bad one.
That's a great one. What are you talking about?
Not getting lost in a fog?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brian.
Rowdy Ryan Nocta.
Maurice LeMarche Caldwell.
And Shimmering Shane Salisbury.
Finally, before we get out of here, we've got a mailbag question from the mayor of Painesville, Daniel Scheitmayer, however you say his last name. We just call him Dan.
Dan.
Because he is he pledged the big bucks on Patreon this month.
Certainly did. It's like a little Christmas present to us, which we're very, very thankful
Thank
for,
you.
Dan. Thank you so much.
Speaking of Christmas presents, that's what we'll have in the next episode. There are presents. Don't get up the Asda bag for life. That looks so trashy.
You're trying to say about my shopping habits?
Just hold up, like the nice. It could be any. The nice actual wrapped presents. Look, we're going to give these to each other. We've got each other presents in the Christmas Day episode, which we'll go home and then come back in 2 days later and record.
Yeah.
Not after this. So Dan's question is, why do you, Ollie, hate the rematch clause so much? The theory behind this is that a great championship match can happen again and the champion does not feel like an afterthought right away. Plus, it gives WWE more time to come up with a decent story for the next challenger once this is done. I'm aware that Jinder vs AJ is not a good example for a working rematch clause, but AJ vs KO would have been if their feud was not doomed as the setup for the Shane vs KO angle later. Randy Orton vs Christian from back in the day is the perfect example of a rematch clause working. I guess. Really confident sign-off, Dan.
So, this is a question directed at you, Oliver Davis. Why do you hate the rematch clause so much?
So, it's quite timely, actually, isn't it? Because we just talked about this happening in the Shield and Bar. I don't think anybody... It's like the things you mentioned there, Randy Orton and Christian having that great series of matches. I think it was 4 in total over the course of 4 or 5 months. That is the exception. Because you think back in like classic feuds and you think of these feuds where two guys fight against each other for over a series of maybe half a year. You're like, wow, that was a long-running feud. But the fact of the matter is, the majority of these feuds are bad and memorable feuds. Unmemorable feuds, whatever you would say. Not rememberable.
Yeah.
Just like the
Stuff
Bar...
bad.
The stuff bad. Just like the Bar and Shield. This was a good feud. But you know what? It's run its course about 3 months ago, and we're still going through it. It was the same with The Miz and Dean Ambrose, with Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin. Those weren't title rematch clauses, but it's indicative of WWE's laziness. So... why is it the title rematch clause in particular? That's one reason, is because it just lets things continue in a holding period, which I don't like. Plus, I like the unpredictability. So I've got nothing wrong with a rematch clause in theory. It's when it's the standard I have a problem with. I think that is a tool that you can use to sort of help a heel out. So a rematch clause should only be used in the build-up to a match where, like, a Paul Heyman, sort of like a shyster lawyer type, will be like, well, you know, if we lose this match, we get a rematch next week. We've negotiated that in the contract. But the standard rule, I think, should be if you lose your title defense, that's it. You've lost your title. And then you immediately move on to a fresh feud. You immediately move on to the next number one contender. It keeps a lot of guys at the top all trying to get that title. And then the person who just lost the title can work his way back up. You don't have to have the rematch the next pay-per-view or the next TV. You can have that match a couple of months down the line as the guy works his way back up. Or maybe he cheats to get back up. You don't know. And that's how you get a feud that lasts over 8 months to a year. You don't get it the way they do it at the moment. That whole feud is condensed down to 3 months because it's rematch clause, rematch clause, rematch clause. But you look at Omega versus Okada. Omega didn't get another shot at Okada's title right away. You got Suzuki. Then you got, I think, Bad Luck Fale. I can't remember, but you got other people, and then Omega worked his way up to get a rematch, or he sort of baited Okada to get a rematch. So that feud lasted 6-7 months, and it's not even done. But so I think it's lazy booking, and the examples you've used are all bad. I think they all fall down when given to scrutiny. Because Randy Orton and Christian, that's a fantastic feud of the year for what did you say 2011?
2011, yeah.
But you didn't need the rematch clause because Christian's whole gimmick was one more match. So that's the thing to keep the feud continuing, where he keeps on sort of pestering the GM, pestering the authority figures to get one more match. He's used a lot of lawyer stuff in this, where he includes in the contracts that they have to let him do a rematch or he wins the title if there's a DQ. And you extend the feud that way rather than you have to have a rematch after you lose the title. That's not how it works in other sports. You don't get that in boxing. You don't get that in MMA. So, yeah.
I agree. And my worst example I can actually think of the rematch clause this year, in terms of WWE clearly had a direction, but the rematch clause stipulation kind of held them back in moving in that direction. Baron Corbin won the United States title in a triple threat with AJ and Ty Dillinger. I think that was when he won the belt. So anyway, Baron Corbin wins the United States Championship because clearly WWE were like, let's move AJ out of this division. We need to move him up into the WWE Championship stuff. This gender thing's not working. Let's actually work towards that instead. But, and this was actually, and there probably was because it was only like a 2-week period that this sort of thing happened. Baron Corbin wins the United States Champion. The following week, they're like, oh, well, we've got to do this rematch clause. And because Baron has to retain...
It was the next night.
It was the next... Well, yeah, SmackDown.
Tuesday,
Tuesday. So, because Baron has to retain, because he's keeping the belt, AJ has to lose. And so Baron Corbin then beats AJ clean in the middle of the ring, who then wins the WWE Championship like either the next week or the week after. So they're in a very short time frame. So AJ actually, you're like, oh, why did he win? He's a loser. He just lost to Baron Corbin clean last week. If you don't have the rematch clause, you didn't have to have that Baron Corbin match, and instead, AJ didn't get pinned at the pay-per-view, and he could have just carried on his trajectory, momentum to get to beating Jinder. That's where the rematch clause kind of holds things back. Not only that, but as you said, it kind of like, as soon as a tag team wins, like the belt, so if the Shield win the belt back from the Bar, that just extends the feud by another month. And you nailed it on the head, really. That what they do is they just sort of block book things. So feuds are essentially, this is going to be our next, actually now it's like, this is going to be our 6-month feud, and then we're going to move into this 6-month feud here. And we're just going to book it week to week, and they'll just all face each other all the time, so actually the feuds end up meaning nothing. Whereas, and there's a point you make in your email, Dan, where it's just like, where has it got here? Plus it gives WWE more time to come up with a decent story for the next challenger. Like, you should think about that before you do it. Like, if Baron Corbin's going to win the belt, you're like, okay, cool, who's this next guy? You make that decision when you decide Baron's winning the belt. His next feud is going to be X. And then you start working on it. You work ahead of yourself and you build up. And then before you know it, you've booked 6 months worth of storylines and you just follow that through. Because it's all been thought out rather than just booking it week to week and making it up as you go along.
Yeah, that line there, plus it gives WWE more time to come up with a decent story for the next challenger once this is done, sort of sounds like the winner's going to be a surprise. Like, the Bar won the titles. Oh, let's put them in a feud with the Shield for a bit so we can figure out where to go next.
Yeah.
No, this is always predetermined. We know where we're going to go. So yeah, you're right. The problem with all of this is it makes it repetitive and predictable. And you don't want that from a quote-unquote kayfabe sport where you've got to buy into stuff.
Yeah. So, being predictable in a storyline is one thing. Like, knowing that Roman Reigns is going to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania isn't the worst thing because you've been building this storyline up for a year. That, as a predictable storyline, is not bad because it's been a very well-told story. But just being like, Seth Rollins has faced Cesaro this week. That means next week Dean is facing Sheamus. Like, that's bad.
Sorry, we sort of trashed you so much there, Dan.
I don't think we trashed him so much. He asked a question and you answered.
We corrected him. I hate the rematch clause.
I had this recently when I was talking with my wife about Star Wars: The Last Jedi because she didn't like it that much. But her thing was that she felt that I'd built it up too much because I was like, it's the best Star Wars film ever.
You did.
And she then says that I do this thing that when I'm talking about it with someone, she goes, you look at me with these sort of like doe eyes. That like I'll say a point and then you'll say why you think I'm wrong on that point. I was like, I never say you're wrong. I give my view, my read on that. She goes, yeah, but when you do it, you then give me this look that says like, so it's good now, yeah?
Oh, yeah, Luke convinced me. People do get like that, don't
Yeah.
they? Where, you're saying I'm wrong. It's like, no, I'm explaining my side, why I think I'm right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that does mean you're wrong in my eyes, but I never said that.
No.
Anyway, that's all we've got time for this Christmas Eve special.
That was nearly a very smooth outro. I even did like a Shaun of the Dead cheers, but...
Well, I was going to say tradition, but then I was like, it's the first year we've done this. Well, hopefully we get to do it next year.
Yeah.
Could all go tits up, couldn't it?
Yeah, good.
So, yes, we're going to continue drinking here. Let's give the game away.
4:00.
Let's give the game away. We are going to keep drinking for the Christmas special that we're recording right after this. But you can see that on Christmas Day. So we'll be exchanging presents. We'll be having a Christmas quiz. I've got a Christmas surprise that Luke doesn't know about. Loads of fun stuff. So that's all we've got. So that's all we've got time for today. Please.
It's such a wicked edit point for me.
Click the timestamps in the video below us. The time. They're not even timestamps.
The videos, mate.
The videos. WrestleTalk news. WrestleRamble. I hope they're that way round. T-shirt. Subscribe. Podcast. Subscribe to that. This channel. Order the magazine. Luke Owen. Patreon. Ollie Davis. Pledge to that. That was rambling. Merry Christmas for 2 days.
Merry Christmas.